You're gonna get gen rushed. It's just gonna happen. Hey, look at that! 2 brand new parts and approve thyself. I called it. And a deja vu. Here's the shitty thing, though. Remember how I was saying you can't balance around perfection? This is a good example of that. That is a very Survivor-sided map. And they were able to do that gen in like 20 seconds, and I still 3K'd. The closest thing I came to tunneling was that Leon right there at the end. That's it. Darth, but exhaustion perks already give you basically a stamina bar. That's what the exhaustion status effect pretty much is. Again, this is the golden question, I think, and I think this match again shows the issue with it. This is the golden question with Dead by Daylight. How do you balance a game when people will bring the most busted stuff they literally can on a map that doesn't favor your character and they still lose? How do you balance that? And if your answer is, oh, well, they should just get better and make it so only the good players, and balance it around the good players. Okay, cool. What happens when all of those players that don't want to get better leave the game and it just dies anyways? Then what? Again, that is the problem. That is the issue with balancing this game. Always has been, always will be. Rework the maps? You could. There's a lot of them you have to do it to, but you could. Skill issue, get good. Links, no, I don't disagree with that statement. But if you lose half of your player base by telling them that, your game dies, and then what? That is the issue. That will always be the issue with balancing this game in particular. Other games can kind of get away with it. Dead by Daylight can't. Yeah, but ideally you would want them to stay, not leave. Games die, big deal. Yeah, but I like this game. I would rather it not die, if I can help it. And if you're looking at it from a pragmatic standpoint, is it better to lose 100 veteran players because of the balanced direction of the game? Or is it better to lose 1,000 new players because the game's too hard to get into? Which is it? Which is better, pragmatically speaking? Get good. Yes, but again, that only goes so far. There's a reason we don't see arena shooters anymore. That right there is why. When an arena shooter releases, and this has happened like 3 or 4 times over the past like 6 or 5 years, it releases, people can't play it very well, they get shit on, and the response is get good, and then those players just leave. And then the games die. That's where games like Overwatch and such have found ways to make it feel like, even as a new player who's not that good, to make it still feel like you're doing something and having an impact on the match. That's the secret sauce to a lot of those games. If you're a bad player in Overwatch, you can still feel like you're contributing. In fact, not only can you still feel like you're contributing, you can still win as a bad player in those games because your team carries you. Your team really can't carry you in Dead by Daylight that much. And if you're on Killer, you don't even have a team to carry you. But again, it's the issue this game is always going to have with balance. Because you can't balance around perfection. That's insane. I mean, you say that, but I feel like this is one of the most addictive games on the market. Most people who actually spend the time and play this game put so many fucking hours into it. You know what asymmetrical game told their community to get good? Does anyone remember this? The devs didn't say those exact words, but they pretty much said those exact words. It was VHS. VHS told its community to get good. On both sides. And it died. It wasn't the only reason, but it was part of it. It's because anytime any new player would come into the game, they couldn't play the game. On either side. I'm just stubborn and hit my head against the wall till I got good. But that's not most people. If you tell most people to get good, they will not. They will just quit. That is the I want to say unfortunate, but that's just the reality of how it works. What about Elden Ring? Elden Ring was different because that one didn't tell you to get good. It was come back later. You could still play the game. You just go off and find other stuff to do and then come back when you're stronger. Again, that's the rock and the hard place that most game developers are under, but Dead by Daylight specifically is really under that rock and hard place. And it's just not, it's not a simple matter of making it easy. It's a matter of, because the other thing too is like, why don't they shake up the metas more? Because it confuses people. And a confused player is a player that's probably going to leave. Like, remember when Siptix got changed, and for the first, 2 weeks, people were still trying to use them like they used to? Even though they have no excuse because there's literally an inbox that tells you it got changed now? That could be a solution. The problem with that, Lynx, is you can't force people to use that. That's the problem with that. That's the problem with any fix to, tutorials in a game. Most people don't even do tutorials in games. They skip the shit out of them. That's why a lot of games make them mandatory. They've done studies on this. Most people will just skip tutorials. If given the opportunity, even if it's a brand new genre, they will skip the tutorial if they can. Most people, not everybody, but most people. That's why a lot of games don't really make their tutorials better, because there's no point. The only people it affects is new players. And of those new players, you're only affecting a small sect of them that decide to do the tutorial. That's not even counting the people who aren't just rushing through the fucking tutorials and actually taking the information in. Especially considering, like, learn to play is, like, in a tab inside the main screen. Like, that's kind of stupid. Don't get me started on the fucking game manual being in here. It's the problem. And I'm not saying don't make the new player experience better. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying even if you do, that doesn't fix the inherent issue. You played Dead by Daylight. You loaded it up because your friend told you to. Your first match is Survivor, and you get tunneled out by Trapper. Okay. You're like, okay, fine, cool. All right. All right, cool. All right, I'll play another match. You play a second match. Now you get tunneled out by Wraith. Okay? Now you just quit the game. That's part of why the anti-tunnel system was the way it was. It was because of that. That's what they were trying to avoid. AI matches. People don't want to play against AI. That's another sad reality of it, too. People do not want to play against AI. If the game is marketed as a PvP game, people want to play against real players. Even if they don't know what they're doing. They want to hop in and play against real players. And they would hope the matchmaking is good enough to put them against people that will not just destroy them immediately. That's the other big problem with his matchmaking, honestly, but that's a different topic. Like, we all joke about 2v8, but that's the reason it's so popular. It's because, like, you can't get tunneled. You can't get camps. You can get tunneled, but it's more difficult to be tunneled in 2v8. There's less things to understand. The game is pretty easy on Survivor in 2v8 because there's so many fucking pallets. Because it's 8 people versus 4 people, you have more of a chance of your team actually just doing the gens. The comeback mechanic makes it so if you're doing bad, there's a chance you can come back. Something the 1v4 mode doesn't have. Because when they tried to add a comeback mechanic to 1v4, people lost their fucking minds. I'll say it until the day they add something. One of the bigger problems on Survivor is, as much as we complain about how overpowered the role is, we do have to admit that Survivor has no comeback mechanic of any kind. How they're ruining 2v8? The numbers disagree. The numbers massively disagree with that. I don't play 2v8 that much anymore, but, like, the numbers massively disagree with the idea that they're ruining it. I don't know. Again, it's just the problem Dead by Daylight will always face. It just really, really is. Well, 2v8 has like more of a problem than 1v4 does. Because in 1v4, like, oh, we have to appease survivors more because there's 4 of them versus 1. 2v8, you gotta appease survivors more because there's 8 of them versus 2. I mean, I don't fully agree with that, Lynx, even though I'm saying it as a statement of fact, but I don't fully agree with it. Again, I think the real problem with Dead by Daylight isn't anything. I don't think it's the balance. I don't think that Survivor's too easy. I don't think it's, like, the direction they're taking the game. I still think the problem with the game is just the matchmaking. If matchmaking was better and more strict, I genuinely think the game would be fine. People would still complain like they always do, but I don't think it would be nearly as bad. I mean, again, I know Hero's still in the call or still in the chat and is going to be mad at me saying this. I should not be winning as much as I am with this build. I should not have won that bad hand match. Let's be 100% honest here. I should not have won that bad hand match. Mathematically speaking, from every objective statement, I should not have won that bad hand match. I shouldn't have. But I did. Is that because I'm good at Killer? No. Is it because they're bad at Survivor? Maybe. Was it random RNG because of how the map got set up? Possibly. Was it because of the Killer I played? Maybe. I don't think I had too much to do with it. Server and time is also a huge problem. Yeah, but there's nothing you can do about that. You can't just ignore it. That's the issue with anything. That was the problem people have with the Grimoire votes, right? Is that there's more Survivor players, so of course they're going to vote. More Survivor players are going to vote for the Survivor stuff than the Killer stuff. So, like, when the perks were all being, like, shown off, it's like, well, there's more Survivor players, so they're gonna vote for the worst version or worst Killer perks. But then it comes down to the whole, like, minority, like, the vocal minority thing. It's like, let's say there's 400 survivors saying something and 100 killers saying the opposite. Who do you listen to? And if you're like, well, the survivors, because there's more of them. Okay, well, because of how it works, should every killer be considered 4 players? Because if not, there's no way to make their voices as loud as the survivor side. And if we completely ignore the survivor side, even if it is, quote, like entitlement or whatever, then you're just ignoring another half of your player base. Because I don't think it's behavior necessarily ignoring killer problems. I think the issue, again, is just the balance of the game is so fickle because of what the player base is and how they play. On top of the fact that, again, every 1 killer voice is drowned out by 4 survivor voices. This is a problem politics has been dealing with for fucking millennia. I'm going to use animals as an example because if I don't, I'm going to sound really weird bringing like fucking bringing race into it. But let's say you have a country and 80% of the country is cats and 20% of the country is dogs. Okay? It's a democratic country. When the vote comes along, how do you make sure that the 20% of dogs get the same amount of voice as the 80% of cats? How do you do that? Do you make it so every dog's voice is worth, what would that be? 60%? Would it be 60%? 40%? Do you make it so every 1 dog voice is worth 8 cat voices? If I did my math right? No, I did not do my math right there. 4 cat voices. It would basically be the same math. Do you divide it up into segments so there's like 50-50 in each region of the votes? Like, again, this is the problem that democracies have been dealing with for hundreds of years. Put players against AI for the first 100 hours and don't tell them. Ah, the Paladins trick. I stopped playing Paladins when I figured that was a thing. That is the problem with a system like that. You can hide it all you want. If someone figures it out and they're like me, I'm not going to play it. If you don't trust me enough to learn the game on my own against real players, I'm quitting. Statistically, 66% of the population will vote. That's not the point, though. That's not the point. Statistically speaking, 66% of Dead by Daylight's player base doesn't fucking make videos or go on the forums or Reddit. I think it's probably even less, honestly. What'd you walk in on? We're talking about how the game is balanced and who behavior listens to and why they should and why they shouldn't. They could also do something about palette density. I feel like they're going to. Now that Blight's getting nerfed, I feel like they're going to. They're just not doing it all in one go. Again, that's the other problem with it, is that a lot of the stuff is one patch fixes one thing, the next patch fixes another. Because they run the risk of if they do it all at once, they don't know what to draw back. That was the bigger problem with the anti-tunnel patch, in my opinion, was it wasn't that all of the things were a problem, it's that they added so much at once that people had grievances with different things, so they didn't know what to take back and what to keep. Well, I mean, I was bringing up politics in the sense of, like, in a democratic sense, if 80% of your population is, again, I'm not going to bring race into it because that makes it a different conversation. But if 80% of your population is cats and 20% is dogs, how do you make sure the dogs have just as much voting power as the cats if their population is lower? I don't know if that's a terrible analogy or not, but, like, how do you do that? You really can't. I mean, there are ways. We found ways to do it. None of them are perfect, but we found ways. But same thing, again, with the Survivor thing, it's like, how do you make it so, if there's 4 survivors and 1 killer, how do you make it so the killer's voice is just as impactful and as loud as the 4 survivors? And again, the simple solution would be, well, make it so the killer's voice is 4 times as impactful, but that also has its problems. Because 1, now you're splitting it straight down the middle. 2, that would mean that anything the killer side says has more impact. And it's different with DBD because it's not a democratic... Well, it's mostly not a democratic thing. It's not like we're voting on the balance changes, right? Technically we are with our voices, but still, we're not, like, physically voting. Come in here, you talk about cats and dogs. Classic Vanette rants. Listen, this fucking meme isn't a meme, alright? Where is it? Where is it? I know it's in here. Come on. Where are you? This isn't a meme, guys. This isn't a meme. We all know it's not a meme. Let's be honest. If I didn't yap, we would have had 100 hours of Pyramid Head done, like, 2 months ago. Just because there's stuff carried out? I mean, it depends. But, I mean, anyone's going to do that at any point. In any game. Remember Armor Lock in Halo? Okay, I say that as if I know any of y'all's past gaming history. Armor Lock in Halo Reach? Oh my god. I used the shit out of it, by the way. I fucking loved Armor Lock. But that's not outplaying anybody. You're pressing a button. And then you're immune for, like, what is it, 8 seconds? It's either 8 or 10, I forget. Yeah, you're immune for, like, 8 seconds. And then you come back with full shields. And I mean immune. For those that don't know Halo Reach armor lock, I mean immune. They throw a sticky grenade at you, it bounces off. They hit you with a rocket, it bounces off. They run a vehicle into you, it explodes. Like... And then again, you get up with full armor again. My best builds for Springtrap? I have a few. I think his overall best build is this.
Nothing can stop me now.
Is that a new voice line? That was weird. Even with the changes, you could probably swap menu out once the changes hit. But I would say this is probably his best build. Corrupt Intervention, BAM, Pop, Eruption, Indo CPU, and I run menu, but again, once the changes hit, you could probably change this for Paper Plate, honestly. This just covers all your bases on him. The build I use the most, though, is this one. This is personal preference. I really like this build. It's Lethal Pursuer, Nemesis, Furtive, Friends, Poster, and Purple Guy Drawing. This is basically just like a Feast or Famine build. You're going to hook the Obsession, get that speed boost, find the next Obsession, because Friends of the Inch swaps it, and you get the Aura from Nemesis, and then you just chase them down with Celebrate Poster and Purple Guy Drawing. If I was to say what the best build is, it's one of those two. If you want a challenge, run this build. Run this. If you want to challenge yourself, run this build. Don't forget 10% is stream. It's memes. Yeah, this. If you want to like absolutely nerf yourself as a killer, just play this build on Springtrap. Freddy's Hat cuts your range in half. Office Phone doesn't do anything. Agitation gives you a larger terror radius. Dark Arrogance makes you get stunned longer. Hoarder puts more chests on the map. And Dying Light makes the Obsession heal faster. The classic. Again, though, it just comes down to, like, I don't necessarily think that... I do agree, but I think both sides are entitled at times, and I think the reason we see more survivor entitlement really is just a numbers game. There's 4 more of them for every killer. It's just how it's gonna work. Back to the cats and dogs analogy, right? If there's 4 dogs in a kennel and 1 cat, and the cat starts complaining there's not enough scratching posts, but there's a shit ton of chew toys, of course that's the case. There's 4 more dogs in the room. I mean, yeah, that could be your solution. If you want a more funny build, because Springtrap has a lot of build variety, this build is really funny when it works. This is my ventilation error build. I love this build. I know Remnant's bad, but this build makes it work. It's Remnant, Streamers, Tinkerer, Batteries, Deadlock, and Cruel Limits. Yeah, well, Fire Ups probably is going to be bad next patch, but again, like I've said multiple times with the diminishing return stuff, it means they can buff it more, so it's better on its own. And I would honestly rather Fire Up be good on its own than require other perks to be good. It's the same thing I say about haste perks all the time. I would rather... What's a good haste perk? I would rather them, like, buff batteries included to, like, 8% than have to keep it at 5% because of haste stacking, you know? But I feel like they're going to introduce the diminishing returns first, see what happens, and then start buffing these other perks. Even with, like, vault speed builds, or kicking builds. Kicking builds are weird, too, because, like, I don't think Brutal Strength needs a buff. I don't. I don't. Colin, I have a, there's a video on the channel, it shouldn't be from too long ago, top 10 Springtrap builds or something like that I made a while ago. It has a lot of different ones in there. I'm making one for Pyramid Head soon, too. It's got a lot of different options in there as well. Say what you will about Springtrap's strength, but if he has one thing going for him, it is definitely his build variety. This killer has so many builds you can do on him. So many. He has so many fucking options. But yeah, if you're looking for just the strongest thing, honestly, you could probably swap Indo CPU for Bonnie's. Or not Indo CPU, menu for Bonnie's next patch. Personal preference. I don't like Bonnie's because I like the undetectable. That's just me, though. Hashtag buff fire up. I mean, that's the thing, though. They could buff a lot of perks once the stacking stops. Or once the diminishing returns is added in. Because it honestly does not affect as much as you would think it would. I think one of the bigger ones that no one's talking about that it's going to affect is Dying Light and Gift of Pain. That build is actually dead now. That build is... And I know it was never that good of a build, but it is genuinely dead next patch. And the sad thing is, I don't think they should buff it. I think those perks are fine enough on their own. And again, some killers are definitely going to take the hit. Like, Clown's going to take a hit, and who's another one that's going to take a hit? Skull Merchant's probably going to take a hit from it, too. But again, once the patch comes out, then we can reevaluate and buff those killers and things as need be. Yeah, his add-on variety is fucking amazing. I love Springtrap's add-on variety. It's how I feel every killer should be. I mean, the only... Am I wrong on this? Is Driver's License still the only gen regression add-on in the entire game? Is there another one that I'm missing? This is the only one, right? And it's on fucking Ghostface. Like I said earlier in the stream, though, it should be noted with diminishing returns that it will not affect regression. For the most part. Because almost everything that applies regression doesn't stack. If you hit a gen with eruption, it will lose 5% from the kick, 10% from the down, and then if you hook a survivor with pain res, you're not stacking the regression, it's two different instances. So it's still going to lose 20%. Oh, right, Iridescent Mixtape. Oh, right, I can't look at it because Legion's kill switched. But yeah, you're so right. Slingshot? Yeah, I guess that counts. Yeah, I guess that counts. I was looking for one that like actually does damage to the gem, but no, that counts, I guess. But yeah, the only thing it really affects on killer set, like gen regression wise, is Overcharge and Call of Brine being stacked. Otherwise, every other gen regression thing is fine. I guess technically, well, no, because that's two different instances. No, yeah, that's fine. No, because oppression doesn't apply anything. Never mind, yeah. Yeah, it really much doesn't affect any of the gen perks on killer side. And then on survivor side, again, like, it will affect stacking things like Prove Thyself and Deja Vu, but it's not going to affect brand new parts, because that's a separate instance. I thought they still stacked, it's just the numbers are weird. Yeah, genuinely, the only things that this affects on the killer side is haste stacking, vault speed stacking, breaking pallets, which, I mean, let's be honest here. Let's see. 1, 2. Fire up and brutal strength. That's it? Unless I'm missing something? I mean, comboing it with add-ons, I guess. But you could buff the add-ons. Or the perks. And then as far as killers go, it affects Clown and Scully. And again, we can just buff Clown in that case. I don't think we need to, but we could. And then what? Vault speeds? Bamboozle, Dark Arrogance, Fire Up. Technically, Crowd Control. Superior Anatomy. I mean, sure, I guess. But I feel like people weren't really stacking most of these together anyways. I don't know. Well, Darth, you say that, but a lot of people don't want it to come to the game because it nerfs killers. A lot of people only want it to work on the Survivor side stuff. For Wesker, no. God, no, I don't have any good builds for Wesker. I used to main Wesker, but like I haven't played Wesker in years. I really couldn't tell you what's good on Wesker these days. Did they ever buff Call? What do you mean? Talk about the noise notification, how long it lasts for? But I mean, like, that being said, though, on Survivor side, I mean, what all can you stack on Survivor side? Healing, gen speed, vaults, I guess, technically speaking, vaults. And even then, most of these aren't speed buffs. The only things that buff your vault speed are finesse and resilience. That's really it. Auras, but like that's not being affected by this. Also, a note about this, and again, I mentioned this earlier in stream, but there is something that I think people are forgetting about diminishing returns, is that it doesn't affect this. It doesn't affect this. Because this is not healing. You are just healed by 270%. So it is a separate instance. So I have a feeling healing speeds are still going to be fucking insane. Because again, this perk exists. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if healing someone takes 10 seconds. Resurgence cuts 70% of that off. Yeah, no, Darth, I know. There's just a lot of people who don't like it. So I'm kind of scared behavior's not going to do it. Otherwise, I can't really think of anything else that, like, stacks. I guess Hinder? But, like, Champion of Light and Bada Bada Boom. That's about it, right? Can't really stack Haste on Survivor. Also, I just realized this. Diminishing Returns doesn't nerf Hyperfocus. Because it's not increasing your gen speed, it's increasing the progress from a skill check. So that's a different instance. It's fine though, road life isn't affected either, so it balances out, I suppose. You know what? What the fuck does it affect? Leader, Botany, Desperate Measures. Deja Vu. It won't affect Fast Track. Friendly Competition. Object Obsession, technically speaking. Overzealous. Prove Thyself. Quick Gambit, technically. Resilience. When you have 5 tokens, spin them all. Your toolbox is recharged instantly. You repair 50% slower for 30 seconds. Huh. Soul Survivor, technically. It won't affect Specialist. Wow, it really does not affect as much as people lit on it's going to affect, huh? The way some people are talking about it, they make it sound like it's going to kill the game. It really does not affect all that much, does it? I don't know, but again, like, it comes down to, like, a question of, like this build, for example. I would rather be able to just throw Unbound, or, like, Superior Anatomy into this build than feel like I need to run 3 Vault perks to make it even worth it. You know what I mean? That's why I'm fine with it. Even on the killer side. Well, Chad, that was like an hour of a rant.